Hi, everybody. Apple rolling out a new MacBook Air and iPad Pro, and actually good timing for us as so many of us are stuck inside our homes. For business users, I know Lance Whitney is here with us to talk about this. Lance, I know that there's some intriguing new features that may be great for some business users as well. So I think the best place to start here to have you break down for us, let's just talk first about that new MacBook Air, your thoughts on it, and worth buying or not.
Right, Karen. So Apple did release both of these new products recently, and they're now on sale, available at local retailers or obviously online retailers. The 2020 MacBook Air is an upgrade or enhanced model over the 2019 MacBook Air. So Apple's been pretty consistent about rolling out a new version every year or so. The new MacBook Air offers a few different new features and enhancements. There's a lower starting price. There are more options as far as storage. It actually starts with a little bit of a higher storage option for the same price. But I would say the biggest and the most compelling reason to grab one of these is the keyboard. Apple has been really criticized over the past few years for switching to what they call a butterfly keyboard for both the MacBook Air and the MacBook Pro. The problem with these butterfly design keyboards is that they're very shallow. The keys are very shallow to the frame. Because of that, they're very soft and weak to the touch. They don't provide any real tactile feel. Very difficult to type on. I actually have a 2019 MacBook Air, and I cannot stand the keyboard. I just find it so frustrating to try to type on. I'm a pretty quick typist and a pretty quick writer at times, and I just can't get much speed or accuracy with this type of keyboard. So I just hate it. So the biggest change in the 2020 Air is that it's switching to what they call a scissors style or magic keyboard, where there's more distance between the keys and the underlying frame. The keys give more of a tactile feel. The new keyboard also is supposed to have fixed some of the problems and flaws from the scissors style keyboard, which used to have certain defects where you could easily get dirt or dust in the framework, and that would create problems when you're trying to type. So for that reason alone, I would recommend this new Air. If this is your first time getting a MacBook or MacBook Air, this is certainly a good time to jump in. If you have a MacBook Air from the past few years, past 2-3 years, and you cannot stand the keyboard, then I would say just to eliminate that frustration and constant headache, it's probably not a bad idea to look at the new Air. The main downside, of course, is if you're like me, when I'm buying a laptop, I always like to try it in person to get a feel for what the keyboard is like. Obviously, with Apple being closed, with Best Buy being closed, it's very difficult to get anywhere to try the new keyboard. So your options, I guess, would be either wait to see if and when some of these stores open and you can try it, or just give it a shot, order it online from Apple or from Amazon or from some other retail company and try it out at home, see if you like it.
Yeah, that's some good advice, and we certainly have some more time on our hands right now, Lance, to be trying something like that. What about your thoughts on the iPad Pro?
Right. So the 2020 iPad Pro is an upgrade to the 2018 iPad Pro. So the Apple doesn't upgrade the iPad Pro as frequently as it does the MacBook. It's usually once every year and a half or so. So the 2020 iPad Pro offers a few enhancements over the 2018 model. It's supposed to be faster. It has a beefier processor. Apple added another camera to the rear of the unit, an ultra wide camera to get those really wide angle, extra wide angle shots. Um, there's another kind of intriguing feature that they added to the iPad Pro. I'm not sure though how practical or useful it is right now. It's what they call a LIDAR scanner. What that basically does is um, it creates a more accurate scan between the tablet and nearby objects. And one of the main purposes of that is for AR, or augmented reality apps, where you've got a combination of the real world with virtual items. So this LiDAR scanner is supposed to do a more accurate job of creating that type of scenario. At this point, AR is still just kind of getting off the ground. It's not really a must-have feature at this point, so I probably wouldn't suggest getting the iPad Pro just for that feature alone. Beyond those enhancements, there is another kind of cool feature in that the new iPad Pro can now work with external trackpads. And not just the new iPad Pro, but actually all iPads with the latest version of iPad OS, which is 13.4, there is now support for external trackpads. So that means if you have a connected trackpad, a USB trackpad, or a Bluetooth trackpad as a separate device, you can pair that with your iPad and use that to work with the screen. Actually, you can also get a trackpad another way, and that's because that Apple has also released a new Magic Keyboard cover for the new iPad Pro. And this cover comes with a built-in trackpad. It comes with a USB-C port. It comes with a backlit keyboard. So this is actually kind of I would say this is probably the coolest reason potentially to get a new iPad Pro, is to take advantage of this new Magic Keyboard cover. The only downside is that they're kind of pricey. For the smaller iPad Pro, it's going for $300, I believe, and for the larger iPad Pro, it's $350. So that's a pretty hefty amount to spend on a cover for an iPad Pro, even with a good cool keyboard to it. So my advice on this one is I have an iPad Pro 2018 and I love it, but I don't see any reason to get rid of it or upgrade at this point. I'm perfectly happy with it. So if you don't have an iPad Pro or looking to jump in, this model is as good a time as any to try it. If you have a recent iPad Pro model like I do, overall, I would probably stay put and wait for the next generation to come out, which from what I'm hearing might be sometime next year, and then see what that one offers.
Yeah, some good thoughts there, Lance. And one thing, real quick before we wrap up here, is what about supply and demand issues right now? Are you hearing anything on that? And should people, maybe just brace themselves for delivery delays, things like that, with all of the changes going on right now and the uncertainty?
Yeah, I mean, I would definitely expect some delivery delays. I haven't heard anything as far as Apple necessarily having trouble keeping up with demand. I know that earlier in the year they did talk about shorter supplies of iPhones in light of the coronavirus. I don't yet know if that problem has hit the new Air or the new iPad Pro. I would expect there to be some delays though, because first of all, the availability chain is not what it normally is. So in other words, you can't go into an Apple store, you can't go into a Best Buy store, you can't go into certain other retail stores to buy one of these. So really, your only option is to get one online. So because of that, I would expect that supply is likely to be tight, at least initially. Um, these items are not quite as in demand, let's say, as an iPhone would be, but they're still pretty popular. So if you do go ahead and order one of these starting now, I would necessarily not expect it to come overnight. I would put in some lag time before you actually get it delivered to your doorstep.
Yeah, may just need to adjust our expectations just a little bit as we all move through this lands, especially when it comes to the supply chain as we're working things out and working out the kinks right now. All of us
Yep,
are. So, all right. Well,
definitely.
some great ideas to pass on there. I know you've got your thoughts on the new MacBook Air and the iPad Pro. Of course, I'll put together in a great article there for us here on Tech Republic. So make sure you go to Tech Republic, everybody, and check that out. Thanks for watching.